Is your heart aching? Does your life seem to be spinning out of control? Do you feel like you've had just about as much as you can take and now you are at your breaking point? You've exhausted every option you can think of and you don't know what else to do. If this is your story and you feel like you're experiencing way too much heartache, then you've got to stay tuned because today I'm going to be telling you about a woman who was broken and at the end of her rope. But more importantly, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what she did to fix her situation. So stay tuned. Hey there, extraordinary child of God. I'm SaMonna, and this is a place where you learn to transition from where you are to where God wants you to be. So, if you experience pain, heartache, or disappointment, and you're ready to push past life's challenges so that you can live a life filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment, then you, my extraordinary friend, are in the right place. But before we jump into today's lesson, why don't you help me out by liking this video, sharing it with a friend, and subscribing to my channel. When you do this, you're letting YouTube know that faith-based content like this is worth promoting. Now, there was a woman who lived in a place where God was not celebrated, praised, or even worshiped. The people in her community didn't get up on Sabbath or Sunday mornings to go to worship in the house of the Lord. And for the most part, a relationship with God was not something that was desired in her community. Now, there was talk about gods and powerful beings. As a matter of fact, this woman was very familiar with them. And as a child, she had been taught to bow before the images of the gods that were believed to rule in her region. She had also learned to sacrifice to them and to seek them for wisdom and for guidance. This was a normal part of her life, one she had never questioned until now. You see, this woman had a child, a little girl who she loved dearly. And like any mother, she would do anything for her daughter. But unfortunately, she had found herself in a season where she could not help her little girl. Her daughter had become ill, and the illness was far worse than any cold or runny nose this mother had ever encountered. It was so severe that no nurse or doctor in her area could provide her any help. And the reason was because her daughter did not suffer from any physical illness, but a mental illness. And as time progressed, it became very clear to this mother and those around her that the mental illness her daughter suffered from was in fact demon possession. And the only recourse she was given was to seek the gods that she had been taught to worship from a young age. And so that's exactly what she did. But to her dismay, no matter how much she prayed to the idols or how many sacrifices she offered to them, her daughter's situation didn't change. In fact, it got worse. And this poor mother was heartbroken. The pain of her daughter's situation was crushing her spirit, and she did not know what else to do. But one day, she overhears her neighbors talking about a man who has the power to heal the sick and to cast out demons. This man is not from her area, and truth be told, based upon his nationality, he is her enemy, which makes this woman very uncomfortable. But the more she hears about this man and the more her heart breaks for her daughter, being uncomfortable really doesn't seem to matter all that much. So this woman makes a decision. She's going to find out where this man is and ask him to heal her daughter. So she asks a dear friend to keep an eye on her child, and she heads out to find the one she believes has the power to heal her. And as she heads out, she notices a crowd. And so she begins to follow the crowd. And off in the distance, she sees a man. This man must be the man that everyone is talking about. So she immediately begins to pick up her pace. And before she knows it, she's running toward the man and she screams out, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely demon possessed." And to this, the man doesn't even turn his head. He doesn't acknowledge her. Instead, he keeps on moving. And then the spirit of embarrassment and shame quickly begin to rise up within this woman as she notices the people looking at her with eyes filled with judgment and disgust. She even hears the men who are close to the one that she's seeking tell him, "Send her away," as if she was annoying them. But just as the spirit of shame and embarrassment began to overtake her, she thought about her daughter. And all of a sudden, her legs began to run faster and her determination was even stronger. as she fell before the man in an act of worship and cried out, "Lord, help me!" And this time, he couldn't ignore her. He had to acknowledge her. But instead of granting her request, he said words that could have crushed her spirit. Because he looked to her and he said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs." And now this woman with a heavy heart, but a firm determination. She didn't get caught up in the fact that being compared to a dog should bruise her pride, or the fact that everyone around her was looking at her as if she was nothing. Instead, she looked into the man's eyes and all she could see was love and compassion. Then she realized this was her moment, her opportunity to have her entire life changed, and she wasn't going to let anything keep her from getting what she needed. Then, without a thought, the most clever and appropriate response rolled off of her lips. "Yes, Lord, yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table." And before she finished getting the sentence out of her mouth, Jesus got excited. This woman got it. She desired him and would not let anything deter her from getting what she so desperately needed from him. So he turns to her and he says, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire." And according to Matthew chapter 15, verses 21 through 28, that Canaanite woman's daughter was healed that very hour. You see, that woman provides us a perfect example of what desiring God and what he has to offer really looks like. Despite all the obstacles the enemy placed in her path to keep her from receiving what she needed from God, she still pushed through. Despite the seemingly cold disposition of Jesus, which was only designed to test and strengthen her faith, she still pressed through because her desire for God was greater than any discomfort she had to experience while seeking him. And here's what I want you to take away from this story. This woman's desire for God to heal her daughter was so strong that she was willing to get uncomfortable, willing to be embarrassed, willing to do whatever it took to receive the blessings of God. So my question for you today is, how great is your desire? How committed are you to pursuing God? How willing are you to step out of what's comfortable to get what you need from God? You see, the fact is that the reason many of us aren't experiencing more of the power of God is because we truly don't desire it enough. We say we want it, but it's much more comfortable to lay in the bed or to scroll through social media or to watch some television or to hang out with friends. It's just a bit uncomfortable to bypass other activities that we enjoy so much to spend time actively pursuing God. But desiring God and actively pursuing him is the key to changing your situation. So I want you to imagine how differently the Canaanite woman's story would have been if she hadn't had a burning desire for God. Her daughter was healed and her pain was turned to joy when she made the decision to chase after God. So I can't help but wonder how different your situation would be if you got serious about desiring God and chasing after him. How many of your problems would Jesus be able to solve if only you pursued him? Now, this is a lesson that I want you to think more about. So I provided you lesson study notes that you can grab for free. The link is in the description below. So be sure to take advantage of those. Also, I want you to let me know what steps you're going to take right now to help you get more serious about desiring God and pursuing after him. Now, if you're not a part of the Extraordinary Living Academy, what are you waiting for? We meet on Tuesday evenings and we dive deep into topics just like this. So I want to encourage you to check out the link in the description below so you can find out more about the Academy. Finally, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You extraordinary child of God. God bless.